Now the former mayor of New York and a friend of Christie, Rudy Giuliani, is here. Mayor Giuliani, thanks for joining us. I want to go back.
Thank you.
I want to go back to September. 4 days, thousands of Fort Lee residents are stuck on that bridge. Christie is the chief executive of that state. I can't imagine you, as New York mayor, not saying, what the heck is going on over there? Forget that traffic study. And yet Christie didn't do that.
You know, Martha, that's always kind of simplistic after something like this happens. You know, how could it happen? How could you not have known? You know, how did President Obama not know about the IRS targeting right-wing groups, massive numbers of right-wing groups?
But this is traffic. This affects everybody. Right? This seems very different.
Well, that affects a lot of people, and the reality is things go wrong in an administration. And frankly, you know, he was in campaign mode at the time. During campaign mode, you miss a lot of things. You're not paying as much attention. We see that with Benghazi. I mean, I give you plenty of examples. Every administration, every president, every mayor, every governor, something goes wrong below them, and then the press asks, "Gosh, how do they not know? How do they not realize?" The reality is, he says he didn't realize. He says he didn't know. I think it's pretty darn credible. He wouldn't make this blanket denial unless it's not true.
But we're talking, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, we're talking about two different things. You're talking about him saying he didn't know there was any scandal involved in this. He had to know there was all that traffic.
Well, yeah, I'm saying you miss things. I mean, things happen in an administration. Things happen when you're running for re-election. After the fact, it seems like, how didn't they know? But the reality is, you miss a lot of things when you're running a government that's as complicated as New Jersey, New York, or the United States. This has happened to many presidents, many governors, many mayors. It's happened to the present president at least 3 or 4 times where he said, "I didn't know," and then the press says, "Gosh, how could he have not have known?"
Well, let's talk about the culture of that office. Obviously, he's dismissed his aide, Bridget Ann Kelly, Bill Stepien, but what about the culture of that office? What does that say about Christie, that they would think they could do something like that?
Well, but this is what happens in political operations. I mean, people get wrong messages. It happens all the time. It happened, again, I go back to the IRS scandal. The people in the IRS thought President Obama wanted him to do this. President Obama didn't want him to do this. But they got the sense, because of that culture, that they were supposed to target right-wing groups. It was totally wrong. I think it was totally wrong for these people to have interpreted Christie this way. But look, he's handled it the best way you can possibly handle it. He's held a press conference. He's flatly denied it. If for some reason it's not true, the man has put his political career completely at risk. If it turns out that there's some evidence that he knew about it, he's taken the complete risk that his political career is over. Don't think he'd do that if there's any suggestion he knew about this.
So you think this just goes away?